going on, guys? Welcome back to another Brand Doctor podcast. We have an awesome guest today. All of my guests are awesome. Come on now. This has been, now you guys probably know, if you guys follow me for some time, you know, I've been documenting the journey and the process that we've been helping our client Purdeep Sangha with ever since his rebrand process. And it's just been a great experience and just an amazing journey. And so what I want to do today is I want to have him on to talk about what's going on now, where he's going in the next 60, 90 days with his brand. And he's got some really cool stuff to share with us. So without further ado, what's going on, Purdeep?
Hey, how's it going, man?
I'm doing awesome, man. Great day. It's Thursday. It's a good day.
Yeah, it's beautiful, isn't it? The weather, thank God. I actually was able to get out and cut the grass, do some fertilizing, so it's been nice.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So let's get into it. So we real quick, we want to talk about what it is that you actually do and set the tone. So let's share with the audience what that is first.
Good question. What do I do? Because I always get that cross look when people ask me what I do, and I'm like, well, I help people build a super fan culture and a super fan client base, and they're like, they sit there scratching their heads for a little bit, thinking, okay, what does that mean? But it's always good. It's always a good line. So I basically help business owners and entrepreneurs really step it up to that next level. So businesses that are either, going well right now, or they're having some challenges, but I really hone in on two key areas, which is really building a culture of high performance teams, and then also transferring that energy into building your client base. So going from average or satisfied or even happy customers or clients to what we call the super fan level of clients, which is it's a totally different ballgame these days. And I know we've had numerous conversations about this, but it's not the business owner's world these days. It's not the entrepreneur's world. The consumer is who really owns the market. So we really have to step up our game. And I think that's why it's so important. Obviously, we talked about having a brand, but also being able to deliver on that brand.
Amen. Amen. So you have a very specific program that you bring your clients through to help them get that end desired result that they're looking for inside and outside their business. Let's talk about that and take us through, what we could expect if, say, we do invest in this program. What are some of the benefits? What are some of the features? What are we going to get?
Yeah, good question. Well, I am so excited though, Henry, because this is something that I used to take clients through over a longer period of time, charge a ton of money for, and it was more of the one-on-one consulting that I did. And as we talked about, it's tough when you have a younger family and doing the traveling. Last year I was traveling quite a bit, and that took a lot away from my family. So I said, okay, how can I help more entrepreneurs and deliver that value to them and have them get awesome results? And just have a generally larger impact. And that's why I created this 8 weeks to your Superfans program, which is mainly an online program. There's live components to it from a video conference call perspective, but I've condensed all that awesome information, literally what clients pay like tens of thousands of dollars for, into, sometimes I look at the price tag and I say, it's ridiculous, but in a very affordable format and package for the average entrepreneur. So I take them through three main areas, which is really what I call the foundation of creating a superfan culture and a superfan client base. And the first one is having a super strategy and really ensuring that the business owner, the entrepreneur, the person that's really going through this program understands what it means to truly have long-term business success. Because there's a lot of false information out there. There's a lot of stuff that's happened, especially over the last 5 years where people have become literally billionaires overnight. And you have a lot of these businesses doing well during the good times, and then they just crash during the bad times. And it's because they haven't set themselves up properly with their strategy. And I'm sorry to say this, I'm usually a very positive person, but we're coming up to some pretty tough times here. We're getting into that cycle where you're probably going to see an economic downturn within the next 12 to 18 months. And what is that going to do for a business if they don't have the proper strategy in place? So that's one area that we focus on. And then I go into another area, which is one of our hot spots, or my favorite as well, but building that superfan culture. So, Henry, because you're dealing with a large team there, is whenever you're dealing with people, there's always complexities. And unless your teams are your superfans, well, your clients are never going to be your superfan. Like if your team's not doing that internally and creating that culture internally, then externally it's never going to happen. And that's why there's classic stories of Southwest Airlines, WestJet up here in Canada, a lot of organizations like Zappos, where they've really focused on the internal culture first and really taking care of the employees and the staff and getting them to that level before they go to that client base. And that makes a huge difference. So that's what we talk about as well, because I don't know about you, Henry, but when I talk to my clients, one of their hot topics, even though it might not be on the agenda, is something to do with one of their team members.
Yeah.
Or a screw up.
I get it all the time inside of Instagram. I get DMs all day long. Like I have this particular employee who is like they're toxic. That's the word that they use, toxic. What do I do? Because it's tough to train a new person. It takes time. It takes money. How do I handle this situation? And so, it all comes down to relationships. I don't know if some of you guys had a chance to check out yesterday's podcast with Frank Vono, but one of the things that he said was relationships are everything from inside the business to outside the business. And if you don't have that solid relationship, when shit hits the fan, everyone scatters like mice. Mm-hmm. When you have that great relationship, it's like night and day. If you do fall on tough times, that relationship keeps that bond strong. And if you have to cash in some chips, as he said, that you can do that. You have that opportunity, and you have that choice because you've built such a great relationship with those folks. So yeah, hands down, if it all starts from the inside, right? Because if you have turmoil on the inside, what's the outside going to feel? They're going to feel it.
Yeah, exactly. And the analogy I like to use is, imagine inviting one of your best clients over to your house and you have a totally dysfunctional family. Like, what is your client going to think of you? And that's exactly what the people in your business are. They are your family. So if you have dysfunction there, your clients are going to pick up on that. Mm-hmm. So that's the funnest part of this program. I think it's really the one thing that I find is entrepreneurs are awesome when it comes to the product or service that they deliver, but they're always, I'm not going to say all, but a lot of them are challenged with the people side of the business. Mm-hmm. And how to deal with those situations. And because I have extensive background in that, so just a quick story, I worked with an organization that went through a 9-month strike, literally almost closed its doors. It was a unionized shop to the point where some of the employees actually barricaded the corporate office.
Stop.
Yeah, it's crazy, man. It's crazy. It's actually a funny story now, but they barricaded it, kept some of the employees inside, the management inside. So it was almost like a hostage situation. Yeah. There was no violence or anything like that, but the police literally had to come through and shatter the doors to get people out, unlock cut the chains to get people out. And you could imagine the tensions between the union staff and the management staff after that. So it was the longest labor union strike for office workers in Canadian history. 9 months, the organization almost shut down its doors, $1 billion organization. And what we did was, and I'm not going to take credit for that because it was a team of executives that really did that, but we really sat down and said, what do we need to do to shift this culture? And I remember, because I got recruited into this position, and I moved 5 provinces over, and I was like, am I making the right choice here? Here's an organization that just hit rock bottom, and then got thrown into the people side of the business. My whole role was to help engagement, help staff and the management relations, and build the culture. And I can tell you, man, it was like, I laugh because it was almost like I was a lamb being thrown into the wolves.
Yeah.
But that's where I learned everything about human resources, people, culture, leadership from ground up. Like, it was an amazing experience. And we took that organization from a 9-month strike, almost closing the doors, to being a top employer, being ranked as one of the fastest growing in the country, and literally doubling growth and hop skipping and jumping over the competition. So the people side is my favorite because I've been there, done that. It's like being in the trenches. So everything else is almost like a piece of cake now.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So I want to get into something real quick that you mentioned about, so the people side of the business, right? I've realized this myself. There's a lot of folks that try to navigate around, if you will, that part of the business. And it was funny. Colby Jubenville, he was on the show a couple days ago, and he mentioned everyone's out there talking about how to stand out from the crowd and how to do this and how to do that. But there's nobody that's talking about how to build solid relationships with people.
Yes.
And so where do you think business owners and entrepreneurs are going wrong when it comes to the people to people connection?
Oh, well, I think it's they're treating it as a transaction.
Okay.
And a lot of times that happens when things are going well. So when things are going well and let's just say you're growing and you're getting new clients all the time, regardless of whether you're building those relationships or not, that means you have a great product or service, and you don't necessarily need to worry about the relationships. And that's where a lot of entrepreneurs get stuck until they hit a situation like an economic downturn, or when a competitor comes in that's doing better than them, and then they're like, okay, we got to focus on this. And that's truly a challenge. And especially what's happened over the last 5 years. And we're seeing a person that has some regular skills open up a business, and they're making tons of money, yet they have no idea how to service their clients and build those relationships. But they've been making a killing just because the economy is going well. And that's really started a huge trend now. I think people are really, and I deal with this all the time because I work with some coaches that everybody loves the coach. Everybody loves that figurehead, that celebrity entrepreneur. And then when they start dealing with a business, boom, like you talk about crap hitting the fan, talk about poor service. It's like night and day. So that part definitely needs to be worked on. But I think the root cause, in terms of what you're asking, is because people are making money regardless, because of the good times right now.
I see. So stop looking at employees as employee numbers. Yeah. Stop looking at clients as invoices, and start looking at them as people. Yeah. And when you do that, everything starts to change. So, all right. So there's 3 steps to the 8-week course process, right? So we did
3
one
phases: the strategy, the people, and then we talk about the systems.
The systems.
The systems is like the backbone, and this is traditionally what a lot of people consider customer experience. So we take a look at the processes, because that literally is like, if you can think of a train, what takes a train from point A to point B? It's the tracks. And that's the same for your business. Yeah. And those tracks are your processes, and you need to have effective processes in place. And there's so many entrepreneurs out there that I'm so flabbergasted when I ask them. I'm like, okay, so what do you guys do when this client comes in, and what's a process look like? They're like, okay, this is what we do. I'm like, okay, awesome. Now show me on paper. And they're like, we don't have it on paper. I'm like, okay, if it's not on paper, it's not a process. Sorry, you're just winging it. So that's an area that we take a look at. How do you create that customer journey, that client journey? And then from there, how do you create processes from it? Because that's the most important thing. When we take a look at client retention, which is the basic backbone of business success. If you want to be in business for long term, if you want to make money long term, and you don't want to have shut down your doors, regardless of how much competition comes in, it all comes down to client retention. And client retention is all about consistency. And if you can create those processes, that journey, and along with that, also it comes the technology side, because a lot of entrepreneurs right now are using technology well, but they're also abusing it. They're using it to sidestep and skip over those personal touch points, which goes back to your point there, which is they're avoiding the relationship piece. Let's just send out an automatic email versus actually having a conversation. And you and I had that talk, was it a couple of days ago, about Instagram and how you're actually responding personally to that? That's awesome, because that's what it's all about. But with technology, that can be avoided. So how do you use technology effectively is another component, as well as the 5 senses. So your sight, touch, taste, hearing, and smell. How do you incorporate that into your experience? Because that is what creates an emotional connection. That's what really triggers. It's like when you go into a room and you smell something and automatically you have this memory, or you hear something. The more senses you use in your experience, the better, because that locks it down. That really ingrains it into their mental state. So that all comes down to building that emotional connection, which is so important to creating a loyal superfan client base.
Yeah, I love it, man. I love it. So you're tackling essentially all the angles. Yes. Without strategy, you won't have a business. Without the right relationships and the people skills, you're not going to have a great business. And if you don't have a freaking process in place to help you create that seamless experience, you're not going to have a business. And so it's so important to really focus in on those 3 things. I feel like a lot of my clients are coming to me just not focusing in on the right things. And when you don't focus on the right things, the wrong things happen. So how do we avoid those at all costs, right? And you got to get around better people. You got to get around people that know this shit inside and out, and that's you.
Well, the quality of the person, the coach, right? And that's why I went to you from a branding perspective. And it's just like anything else. I've been working out for years. I actually used to be a trainer myself. But I've gone through so many coaches, and I finally found one that has such a high level of insight and experience and depth that, man, it's made a huge difference overall. When I look back at a lot of these other trainers, I think, wow, I wasted a lot of money on, it got me some progress, but this is just like skyrocketing. So I think the quality of, and regardless of the program that I have or you have, I think it's just something in general for people to take a look at, entrepreneurs out there to take a look at. There's so many options. There's so much available out there that it's important to take a look at the quality, take a look at the background, the experience of the person.
Yes. Yeah. I just wrote a whole email about this morning about how, if you're in the client service business, what's the one thing that our clients want the most from us? And it's to be led. We want to be led. We don't want to have to take over the steering wheel of the ship or the plane or whatever you want to call it, and have to now dictate to the person that we hired what needs to be done. And I feel like a lot of client service businesses fall into that trap, because I don't think the client does this maliciously. And I said this in my blog. I don't think that they do it maliciously. They're not out there to try to trip you up. But subconsciously, they're like, is this person, can I trust this person? Does this person have the confidence to lead me? And if not, we have a problem, Houston. And so what I want to instill in folks is that you want to always maintain the frame. You want to always maintain your expertise, your specialty. You don't forget why these folks hired you. They hired you because they trusted you to take them from point A to point B seamlessly without them having to do it themselves, right? So I love that you bring that up, because there's just too many people out there that maybe yesing people to death, but then they get bit in the ass at the end because they're not who they are, or they're not who they said they were. And man, negative energy travels faster than positive energy. It's just it's just what it is. So I love how you're helping clients and businesses really just tackle all angles of the situation to help them get to where they want to be. So we got to turn the corner, sort of wrap up here, but where can we learn more about this 8-week program, and where can we send folks?
Yeah, so you can go to the website, purdeepsangha.com. So that's PURDEEPSANGHA.com. And then I guess maybe in the link, we can throw in the detailed link in terms of where they can get more information regarding the program.
That's awesome. Yeah, no. So guys, go check it out right now. It's PurdeepSangha.com, and you'll just scroll down just a little bit and you'll see exactly where you need to be.
Yeah. And I haven't opened up registration really. This is kind of like a pre-launch leading to it, because it is there's limited spots, because I'm not like the other coaches out there where I want 1,000 people in my course. It's very small group. I want to keep it intimate and be able to help each individual person specifically. Mm-hmm. So I'm giving out a couple of free bonuses out there. You won't hear about it, but if you hear it here, I'm giving 30-minute free live, like one-on-one calls with each individual registrant. If you sign up now, that's, it's probably going to take up a lot of my time. Most people don't do that, but I'm going to do that here. So
that's awesome. Purdeep, I have to say, I want to throw this in before I forget. Having you as a client has been a blessing. And one of the things that I could say to my audience from the heart is having you as a client and having you as one of my ideal clients. You've shared some stuff with me after understanding what you do and how your business is operating. There are so many takeaways that I got from you and started to implement immediately, because I was like, this guy really knows his stuff. And so I may not have said this, vocally to you, but you have helped me refine my process to what it is today. You have helped me understand the little tiny things that matter, like sending a little thank you note that's written instead of typed out to my clients. And these are all tiny little touch points, right? Yep. But that is the key. And when I started implementing these little tiny things, it was like night and day from a relationship standpoint that I had with my clients. And so I just want to be a testimonial to you to say that you have helped Unique Designs tremendously over the past 4 months or so, getting our stuff together from a relationship standpoint, from a process standpoint, and from a strategy standpoint as well. So can't thank you enough, man.
Hey, my pleasure. I know I'm one of those pain in the ass clients.
You really aren't though.
But I do it on purpose. I really do, because I whenever I work with someone that I have a relationship with, like you, I really get in because I really want your business to be like,
and that's
top of the charts.
And that's one thing I could say about Purdeep. If we had a conversation about Purdeep behind closed doors, the one thing I can say is that he truly does go, my God, the umpteenth mile for the people that he works with, whether you're a vendor or his client. And I just want to express that that's very, very, very hard to find these days. And when you get a coach like Purdeep, you're in good hands. And that's why he's on the show today. And that's why we're showcasing this program, because I believe in it and I believe in him. And if you guys need help in this area of your business, this is the guy to go to.
I appreciate the nice words, man.
I'll pay you
later.
Yes, and for the record, I was not paid to say that. So there you have it, guys. Another podcast in the books. We will get you out in the show notes. I'll get you a link to Purdeep's website on Facebook Live here. I'll get a link to his website as well. And go check out his course. And I wish you the best of luck, Purdeep. I wish you the best of luck, audience. And so there you have it. Another episode in the books. So real quick before I leave, I just want to remind you guys, if you haven't written a quick little review on iTunes yet, I appreciate that, and I thank you in advance. If you haven't shared or subscribed to this podcast, I ask that you do. You have no idea how far that goes for me personally and for the growth of this podcast. And at the end of the day, guys, I just want to help you get to where you want to be faster when it comes to building your brand and building your business. So have an awesome day, guys, and I'll catch you on the next episode.